During World War I, a British airman drops a bomb by hand from his aircraft. This image captures the early improvised methods of aerial warfare and the dangerous conditions faced by pilots in the 1914-1918 conflict. In the 1920s, a flapper receives a tattoo on her thigh. The act reflects the era's fascination with personal expression, rebellion, and emerging modern culture, capturing a moment of individuality within the Roaring Twenties. In 1932, Dr. Eric Salomon faked a broken arm to conceal a camera inside his cast, allowing him to photograph the U.S. Supreme Court in session, a daring act blending ingenuity, subterfuge, and early photojournalism. On November 24, 1899, Herbert Cochran was arrested for burglary in Omaha. An unidentified police officer holds him in a headlock during his mugshot, capturing a striking moment in law enforcement and criminal procedure of the era. In 1933, an aviation parade took place at Tushino Military Airport in Moscow, Soviet Union. The event showcased aircraft, pilots, and military strength, reflecting both technological progress and the prominence of aviation in Soviet public displays. On the evening of November 22, 1963, commuters moved through the streets of New York City. The moment captures everyday urban life amid a historic day as Americans learned of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. In 1952, a disguised witness testifies during a drug trial in Washington. The precautions reflect the dangers and sensitivities of legal proceedings, highlighting the lengths taken to protect individuals involved in criminal investigations of the era. In April 1945, a smiling GI of the U.S. Army's 2nd Armored Division displays souvenirs he collected. The photograph captures a moment of levity and personal triumph amid the final days of World War II in Europe. The U.S. Capitol in 1846 and 2022 shows dramatic transformation over nearly 2 centuries. Comparing the two images highlights architectural evolution, expanding government functions, and the enduring symbolism of this iconic seat of American democracy. Circa 1917, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia is photographed after being taken captive. The image captures a pivotal moment in Russian history, marking the end of imperial rule and the dramatic political upheaval of the revolution. In 1898, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany visits Palestine. The photograph captures a historic journey, reflecting European political interests abroad, the monarch's personal travels, and the broader context of late 19th century diplomacy and international observation. Circa the 1920s, a Khalkha Mongolian couple poses for their wedding portrait. The image preserves traditional attire, cultural customs, and the significance of marriage within their community, offering a rare glimpse into early 20th century Mongolian life. On April 19, 1959, Fidel Castro visits the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. The photograph captures the Cuban leader at a prominent American landmark shortly after the revolution, reflecting international attention and political symbolism during a pivotal historical moment. A section of ancient Roman road lies in a forest near Kleist, Germany. The preserved route offers insight into Roman engineering, transportation, and the enduring infrastructure that once connected distant settlements across the empire. On August 9, 1918, during the Battle of Amiens, a carrier pigeon is released from the side of a British tank. The bird serves as a crucial means of communication in the midst of warfare. In 1986, Diego Maradona uses his hand to bypass England goalkeeper Peter Shilton, scoring the infamous Hand of God goal. The moment became one of football's most controversial and legendary events in World Cup history. In 1945, on Iwo Jima, a U.S. Marine gives a cigarette to a Japanese soldier buried in sand. The moment captures an extraordinary human interaction amid the intensity and suffering of one of World War II's fiercest battles. On September 15, 1989, a week after skull surgery, former President Ronald Reagan exposes his partially shaved head at the Rochester, Minnesota airport. The photograph captures his resilience and public presence during recovery from a serious medical procedure. Fifth Avenue in New York City around 1912 and again in 2016 illustrates dramatic change over a century. Comparing the streetscapes highlights evolving architecture, transportation, and urban life, revealing how one of the world's iconic avenues has transformed. In 1922, during Howard Carter's expedition, a photograph captures a statue of Anubis inside Tutankhamun's tomb. The image preserves a sacred artifact of ancient Egyptian burial practices, reflecting religious symbolism and the treasures of a pharaoh's final resting place. On April 21, 1971, John Kerry, spokesman for Vietnam Veterans Against the War, addresses the press at an outdoor event in Washington, D.C. The moment captures active anti-war advocacy by veterans during a pivotal period of protest. Stuttgart, Germany's market square before World War II, and today shows stark contrast across decades. Comparing the two images highlights the effects of wartime destruction, subsequent reconstruction, and urban transformation, revealing the city's resilience and evolving architectural landscape. In 1917, in Oise, France, women pull farm equipment through a field during World War I. Their labor reflects the essential role women played in agriculture, sustaining food production while men were away at the front. In the 1980s, Soviet programmer Alexei Pajitnov invents the game Tetris. His creation becomes a landmark in digital entertainment, combining innovation, logic, and widespread cultural impact, marking a defining moment in the history of video games. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, a young girl is photographed in Missouri, USA. The image captures the era's hardships, reflecting the struggles faced by children and families amid widespread economic hardship and social upheaval. In 1946, a woman is ticketed for indecent exposure at Rockaway Beach, New York. The photograph captures post-war social norms, public morality enforcement, and the tensions between individual behavior and community standards in mid-20th century American society. In 1966, North Dakota is struck by a severe blizzard. The storm blankets the landscape in snow, disrupting daily life and transportation, and leaving a lasting mark on the region's history as one of its most extreme weather events. In the 1980s, young princes Harry and William meet King Juan Carlos of Spain. The photograph captures a royal encounter, reflecting international diplomacy, family connections, and ceremonial exchanges among European and British monarchies. Circa 1850, a daguerreotype captures a blind man wearing tinted glasses and holding a cat. The image preserves a quiet, intimate moment, reflecting early photographic techniques and the personal lives of individuals in mid-19th century society. In 1988, actors Nicolas Cage and Johnny Depp are photographed together. The image captures two rising stars of Hollywood during the late 1980s, reflecting their early careers and the era's vibrant film culture. Ancient Roman faucets from Pompeii, dating between the 1st century BCE and 1st century CE, reveal the sophistication of Roman plumbing. These artifacts demonstrate advanced water management and daily life in one of history's most remarkable cities. In 1992, during the Croatian War of Independence, Santa Claus visits children in Vukovar. The photograph captures a moment of solace and normalcy amid conflict, reflecting human resilience and the persistence of hope during wartime. Penn Station in 1910 and Madison Square Garden in 2019 occupy the same site, 110 years apart. The colorized images reveal dramatic urban transformation, contrasting historic architecture with modern development and the evolving face of New York City. In June 1944, GIs of the 4th Infantry Division examine wine in Cherbourg, France. The image captures a moment of curiosity and daily life amid the aftermath of battle during the Allied liberation of Normandy in World War II. In 1924, British tourists embark on a camel trip to view the Sphinx and pyramids in Egypt. The photograph captures early 20th century travel, exploration, and the fascination with ancient landmarks among foreign visitors. In 1945, the Mona Lisa returns to the Louvre Museum at the end of World War II. The event marks the restoration of cultural treasures displaced during the conflict, symbolizing resilience and the preservation of heritage. In the 1890s, an Inuit man warms his wife's feet in Greenland. The photograph captures a quiet, intimate moment, reflecting daily life, care, and the human relationships that sustain communities in harsh Arctic environments. In 1907, a one-room schoolhouse operates in Texas. Children of various ages learn together under a single teacher, reflecting rural education practices of the era and the central role of community in early 20th century schooling. In 1963, Cuban leader Fidel Castro smokes a cigar and wears 2 Rolex watches during a meeting with Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. The image captures a moment of Cold War diplomacy and the personal style of world leaders. In 1945, an American serviceman shares his rations with 2 Japanese children in Okinawa. The photograph captures a rare moment of humanity amid the devastation of war, reflecting compassion and the human connections that persist even in conflict. A portrait of 2 brothers from Roman Egypt, dating to the 1st century AD, was discovered at Hawara in Fayum, Egypt. The painting preserves familial likeness and Roman-Egyptian artistic traditions, offering insight into identity and domestic life of the era. In 1880, a mother and daughter watch a tall ship navigate the Thames in London. The scene captures a quiet moment of observation and leisure, reflecting maritime activity and family life along the historic river. Between 1890 and 1910, a young woman poses for a studio portrait in Kentucky. The image captures personal presentation and fashion of the era, preserving a moment of individual identity within the social and cultural context of the time. In 1914, a Ford Model T is photographed next to the Sphinx in Egypt. The image juxtaposes early automotive technology with ancient monumental architecture, illustrating the intersection of modern innovation and enduring historical landmarks. In 1919, players compete in an auto polo match in Canada. The photograph captures a daring and unusual sport of the era, combining automobiles and polo, reflecting both innovation in recreation and early 20th century entertainment. Photographer William Leftwich is captured at work, illustrating the craft and focus required in professional photography. The image preserves a moment of artistic practice, highlighting the dedication and technical skill behind capturing visual history. In the 1940s, Miami Beach emerges as a vibrant seaside destination. The photograph captures the leisure, fashion, and recreational culture of the era, reflecting the popularity of the coastline and the social life of mid-20th century America. In 1865, travelers take the train, experiencing one of the era's fastest and most modern forms of transportation. The image reflects the transformative impact of rail travel on mobility, commerce, and daily life during the mid-19th century. In 1931, workers take a break on the St. John's Bridge in Portland. The photograph captures a moment of respite amid construction, reflecting the labor, risk, and teamwork involved in building major infrastructure during the early and 20th century. In 1939, sharecroppers return home from a tobacco plantation in North Carolina. The photograph captures the daily labor and hardships of agricultural workers, reflecting the economic realities and social conditions of rural life in the American South. At the 1908 Olympic Games in London, athletes compete in the high jump. The photograph captures the early spirit of international competition, athletic skill, and the formal sporting culture of the early 20th century. In 1889, a photograph captures a beautiful couple. The image preserves their appearance, attire, and poise, offering a glimpse into social customs, fashion, and personal presentation in the late 19th century. In 1882, a class in blacksmithing convenes at Forest Grove School in Oregon. The photograph captures students learning practical skills essential for daily life, reflecting vocational education and the importance of craftsmanship in 19th century rural communities. In 1904, people pose in front of a large tree in Stanley Park, Vancouver. The photograph captures a moment of leisure and appreciation for nature, reflecting early 20th century recreation and the cultural significance of public green spaces. In 1909, a young woman removes a loaf of bread from the oven. The photograph captures a domestic moment, reflecting daily household routines, traditional baking practices, and the central role of women in early 20th century home life. In 1938, women box on a rooftop. The photograph captures an unusual and daring form of recreation for the era, reflecting early female participation in sports and the pursuit of athleticism and public visibility in the late 1930s. In 1889, New York City presents a bustling and evolving urban landscape. The photograph captures streets, architecture, and daily life, reflecting the rapid growth, industrialization, and social dynamics of one of America's most iconic cities in the late 19th century. American wheelmen pause and repose in the woods, captured in a photograph that reflects the early cycling culture. The image preserves a moment of leisure, camaraderie, and outdoor recreation among enthusiasts of the emerging sport. In 1911, an electric car is charged in a garage. The photograph captures an early moment in automotive history, illustrating the beginnings of electric vehicle technology and the innovative approaches to personal transportation in the early 20th century. In 1945, a French woman poses with her baguette and 6 bottles of wine in Paris. The photograph captures post-war daily life, reflecting culinary culture, resilience, and the simple pleasures that persisted amid the city's recovery. In 1939, a British soldier whispers into the ear of a loved one as he departs for the front. The photograph captures a poignant moment of farewell, reflecting the personal sacrifices and emotional toll of wartime separation. In 1900, a family is photographed at their cabin home in West Virginia. The image captures rural domestic life, reflecting the architecture, daily routines, and close-knit family structures characteristic of Appalachian communities at the turn of the century. 11 construction workers casually eat, chat, and smoke on a beam 840 feet above Manhattan. Taken on the 69th floor of Rockefeller Center's RCA building, the staged photograph captures daring work and the skyscraper's promotional spectacle. On May 2, 1945, Ukrainian-born photographer Yevgeny Khalday stands amid the ruins of Berlin, capturing the Red Army's victory. Armed with his Leica III and a homemade Soviet flag, he documents the aftermath of Nazi Germany's collapse. In June 1963, Associated Press photographer Malcolm Brown captured Thich Quang Duc's self-immolation on a Saigon street. The act protested President Ngo Dinh Diem's treatment of Buddhists, shocking the world and bringing global attention to Vietnam. In the 1890s, a group of ice cutters works in Toronto, Canada. Their demanding labor involves harvesting frozen lake ice, continuing a centuries-old practice that supplied communities with essential refrigeration before modern technology. A cleaned image from Shackleton's 1907-1908 British Antarctic expedition offers a glimpse into early polar exploration. Led by Sir Ernest Shackleton, the Nimrod expedition achieved milestones such as climbing Mount Erebus and reaching the farthest south latitude of the era. On June 21, 1965, an armed helicopter fires rockets at a Viet Cong jungle position in Ban Me Thuot. The photograph captures the intensity of aerial combat during the early stages of the Vietnam War. In the 1950s, cosmetic companies employed lipstick testers to wear shades and be kissed repeatedly. This unusual role ensured the durability, color, and texture of products, reflecting the era's focus on beauty standards and quality control. Born in Los Angeles on October 2, 1914, Jack Parsons pioneered rocket fuel used by NASA. Beyond rocketry, he engaged deeply with Thelema, blending scientific innovation with occult practices and unconventional spiritual experimentation. In the 1890s, young ladies in Norway are photographed together. The image captures fashion, social customs, and the daily lives of women in late 19th century Norway, offering insight into the cultural and societal norms of the era. In 1929, the Chrysler Building rises under construction in New York City. The photograph captures the daring scale of skyscraper building during the late 1920s, reflecting architectural innovation, ambition, and the city's rapid vertical growth. In 1910, two friends stroll through a cool stream on a warm day. The photograph captures a moment of leisure and companionship, reflecting simple pleasures and the rhythms of daily life in the early 20th century. In the 1940s, a photograph captures sweethearts together, reflecting romance, companionship, and personal connection during a decade shaped by global conflict and social change. The image preserves a tender moment amid the era's challenges and hopes. In 1900, a family poses outside their home near Connorsville. The photograph captures rural domestic life at the turn of the century, reflecting family structure, home life, and the architecture typical of early 20th century Midwestern America.